For over 1 million years, our ancestors walked around with something no other animal on the planet had: 2 free hands. And they did almost nothing with them. No tools, no weapons, no fire. Nothing built, nothing shaped, nothing carried with purpose. Just hands hanging at their sides, doing the same thing every single day for 1,000 generations. Then, one day, on a lakeshore in East Africa, one of them picked up a rock, and instead of throwing it, or gnawing on it, or dropping it, they hit it against another rock, on purpose, with intent. That single strike is the ancestor of every piece of technology you've ever touched. The phone in your pocket, the chair you're sitting on, the screen you're watching this on right now. Here's what almost nobody expects going into this story. The first tool on Earth was not impressive. It wasn't a spear. It wasn't an axe. It wasn't even particularly sharp compared to what came a few 100,000 years later. It was a rock, deliberately smashed against another rock, to knock off one single usable edge. That's it. That's the entire invention. But here's the detail that should actually stop you. The hands capable of making that rock existed for over 1 million years before anyone actually did it. So this isn't really a story about a sudden flash of genius. It's a mystery about delay. If the hands were ready that early, what took so long? The trail leads to a dusty patch of ground in Kenya called Lomekwi 3, near the shores of Lake Turkana, uncovered by researchers in 2011. Buried in the sediment, dozens of stone flakes and cores, not scattered randomly, not chipped by a passing hoof or a tumble down a riverbank, struck, deliberately, repeatedly, in a pattern that only comes from a hand aiming for a specific result. Dated to roughly 3.3 million years old. Here's where it gets strange. The genus Homo, the group that includes us, didn't even exist yet. Whatever made these tools walked the earth before humans, in any technical sense, showed up. So if you learned in school that Homo habilis, literally handyman, was the first toolmaker in history, you were taught something that's now out of date. That title belonged to someone else first. Something that, by most scientific definitions, wasn't human at all. For decades, this part of the story had a clean, satisfying explanation. Bigger brain, smarter thinking, better tools. A straight line, one causing the next, like dominoes falling in order. It's the version in most textbooks. It's the version that feels true. It's also incomplete, because the brains of these early toolmakers were barely different in size from the brains of hominids who never picked up a rock and struck it with purpose. No growth spurt, no sudden leap. Something else had to unlock this, and it wasn't raw intelligence. It was precision. Here's something most people don't realize. Making a stone tool is genuinely hard. Try it yourself. Grab 2 rocks and smash them together, and 9 times out of 10, you'll get dust, gravel, and shattered nothing. To actually produce a usable flake, you need to strike a core rock at an extremely precise angle, with carefully controlled force, in the exact right spot. Miss any one of those 3 conditions, and the rock simply breaks wrong. That kind of control requires something very specific in the hand. A long, strong, fully opposable thumb, capable of pressing firmly against the fingertips in a precision grip. Chimpanzees, our closest living relatives, sharing around 98% of our DNA, genuinely cannot do this reliably. Their thumbs are too short. Their grip strength is distributed wrong. They can use tools opportunistically. A stick to fish for termites, a rock to crack a nut, but not this. Not controlled, repeatable napping. Which means the very first piece of technology on this planet wasn't unlocked by a smarter brain at all. It was unlocked by a hand that had finally evolved the right shape to make it possible. And once that hand existed, Once controlled striking became physically possible, everything downstream of it moved fast, at least on an evolutionary clock. A sharp stone flake could slice through hide and muscle far more efficiently than teeth alone. It could crack open bones to reach something almost no other predator on the savanna could access: marrow. Dense, fatty, loaded with calories. Previously locked away inside bone, completely out of reach for any animal without the ability to break it open on purpose. Suddenly, an entirely new food source was on the table. Literally.
And here's the pivot that changes the whole narrative. Some researchers argue it was this: the extra calories, the richer diet made possible by tools, that gave brains the fuel they needed to grow larger in the first place, not the other way around. Which means the order almost everyone assumes, big brain first, clever tools second, may have it completely backwards. The same reversal we found with walking in the last episode. The hand came first. The brain grew because of what the hand had already made possible. We tend to think our big brains built our world, but the evidence keeps pointing the same direction. It wasn't the brain that got us here first. It was the body, quietly evolving the exact shape needed, waiting patiently for someone to figure out what to do with it. Walking came before intelligence. Now the hand came before intelligence too, which raises an unsettling pattern. What if the brain wasn't driving this story at all, but just catching up the whole time? In the next episode, we follow that same body, now armed with tools and a richer diet, as it stumbles onto something even more dangerous to control: fire. Subscribe to join the hunt for the origins of us.